The readings will now be given by Craig from Plainfield.
The Bible, Genesis. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. Proverbs. Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors. 2 Samuel. And David spake unto the Lord the words of this song in the day that the Lord had delivered him, out of the hand of all his enemies, and out of the hand of Saul. And he said, The Lord is my rock, and my fortress, and my deliverer. The God of my rock, in him will I trust. He is my shield, and the horn of my salvation, my high tower and my refuge, my Savior. Thou savest me from violence. I will call on the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from mine enemies. And the waves of death compassed me. The floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about. The snares of death prevented me. In my distress, I called upon the Lord and cried to my God. And he did hear my voice out of his temple, and my cry did enter into his ears. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations of heaven moved and shook, because he was wroth. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also, and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub, and did fly, and he was seen upon the wings of the wind. And he made darkness pavilions round about him, dark waters, and thick clouds of the skies. Through the brightness before him were coals of fire kindled. The Lord thundered from heaven, and the Most High uttered his voice. The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands hath he recompensed me. Luke. Master, speak. Blessed are those servants whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily I say that he shall gird himself and make them to sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve them. And if he shall come in the second watch or in the third watch, and find them so, blessed are those servants. And this know, that if the good man of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched, and not have suffered his house to be broken through. Be ye therefore ready also, for the Son of Man cometh at an hour when we think not. And the Lord said, Who then is that faithful and wise steward, whom his Lord shall make ruler over his household, to give him their portion of meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Of a truth I say unto you, that he will make him ruler over all that he hath. 1 John, 3rd chapter. And every man that hath this hope in him purifieth himself, even as he is pure. I will read from Miscellaneous Writings by Mary Baker Eddy, 1 Samuel 17, 1 through 19. 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 1 Samuel 17, 1 through Excerpts from article Mental Practice. It is admitted that mortals think wickedly and act wickedly. It is beginning to be seen by thinkers that mortals think also after a sickly fashion. In common parlance, one person feels sick, another feels wicked. A third person knows that if he would remove this feeling in either case, in the one, he must change his patient's consciousness of dis-ease and suffering to a consciousness of ease and loss of suffering, while in the other, he must change the patient's sense of sinning at ease to a sense of discomfort in sin and peace in goodness. This is Christian science, that mortal mind makes sick and immortal mind makes well, that mortal mind makes sinners, while immortal mind makes saints, that a state of health is but a state of consciousness made manifest on the body, and vice versa, that while one person feels wickedly and acts wickedly, another knows that if he can change this evil sense and consciousness to a good sense or conscious goodness, the fruit of goodness will follow, and he has reformed the sinner. Now demonstrate this rule, which obtains in every line of mental healing, and you will find that a good rule works one way and a false rule the opposite way. Let us suppose that there is a sick person whom another would heal mentally. The healer begins by mental argument. He mentally says, "You are well and you know it." And he supports the silent mental force by audible explanation, attestation, and precedent. His mental and oral arguments aim to refute the sick man's thoughts, words, and actions in certain directions and turn them into channels of truth. He persists in this course until the patient's mind yields and the harmonious thought has the full control over this mind on the point at issue. The end is attained, and the patient says and feels, "I am well and I know it." This mental practitioner has changed his patient's consciousness from sickness to health. The patient's mental state is now the diametrical opposite of what it was when the mental practitioner undertook to transform it, and he is improved morally and physically. That this mental method has power and bears fruit is patent both to the conscientious Christian scientist and the observer. Both should understand with equal clearness that if this mental process and power be reversed, and people believe that a man is sick and knows it, and speak of him as being sick, put it in the minds of others that he is sick, publish it in the newspapers that he is failing, and persist in this action of mind over mind, it follows that he will believe that he is sick. And Jesus said it would be according to the woman's belief. But if, with the certainty of science, he knows that an error of belief has not the power of truth and does not produce the slightest effect, it has no power over him. Thus, the mental malpractitioner may lose his power to harm by a false mental argument, for it gives one opportunity to handle the error. And when mastering it, one gains in the rules of metaphysics, and thereby learns more of its divine principle. Error produces physical sufferings, and these sufferings show the fundamental principle of Christian science, namely that error and sickness are one, and truth is their remedy. I shall not forget the cost of investigating for this age the methods and power of error, while the ways, means, and potencies of truth had flowed into my consciousness as easily as dawns the morning light and shadows flee. The metaphysical mystery of error, its hidden paths, purpose, and fruits, at first defied me. I was saying all the time, "Come not into the secret," but at length took up the research according to God's command. From Science and Health of Keys to Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. The time for thinkers has come. Truth, independent of doctrines and time-honored systems, knocks at the portal of humanity. Contentment with the past and the cold conventionality of materialism are crumbling away. Ignorance of God is no longer the stepping stone to faith. The only guarantee of obedience is a right apprehension of Him, whom to know right is life eternal. Though empires fail, the Lord shall reign forever.